Okay, boys, welcome back to our next Darcheinu class. So excited to be able to share this topic with you. Last week a few weeks ago, we began talking about the topic of communication, how important communication skills are, thinking about different forms of communication in our lives. Can anybody think and remember what was the idea that we brought out as far as communication is concerned last time we met? Yeah.
Describing something?
So sometimes you can use words to describe something. There was a certain activity that we used to try to bring out the idea, yeah.
You try to use one type of communication that's working.
So only one type of communication, like just speaking and not using something else, sometimes can be harder to convey that message, to communicate. Anybody remember something else that we did?
Motions, language.
Hand motions and language. What else?
Drawing.
Drawing, because what was the exercise that we did?
Draw a square and top.
So there were pictures, and you had to try to just with your speech describe what shape and pattern are you seeing on the screen, and everyone had to try to draw it for themselves to be able to say like, oh, and then you hold it up and we compare, did you get it right, who came the closest, but how difficult it was when you were only using one form of communication, speech. Whereas if you could draw, if you could write, if you could use hand motions, which you weren't allowed to do, you had to keep your hands behind your back when you were describing it last week. If you could do all these other forms of communication, you have a lot more success in conveying your message. And remember, we ended off with the lesson that we have to keep in mind we can use different forms of communication to make our points more clearly, but we also have to keep in mind what communication are we communicating, whether we realize it or not, by those other forms of communication. So leaning way back in your seat or putting your head like, these are actually communicating messages to a Rebbe, to a teacher, to a parent. We have to become self-aware, which was the first unit we did, all about self-awareness. What messages are we conveying, are we communicating to the people in our lives? I want to move on now this week to the next unit, the next session in communication. And that is using communication for a very important purpose. And the topic we're going to be talking about today is bullying. Who can define bullying for me? Yeah.
A person making fun of another.
So one example would be someone making fun of someone else. Yeah.
Putting someone down to bring yourself up.
Putting someone down to bring yourself up. That's very well said. We're going to elaborate a little bit on what that means. Where is the bully? Why is the bully usually bullying? Yeah.
Yeah, physically hurting person.
Potentially physically hurting, yeah.
Picking on someone.
Picking on someone is a way to say it.
Embarrassing someone.
Embarrassing someone.
Saying words like you're no good.
Okay, so again, putting the person down with words.
Threatening him because you really think that he's better than you.
Threats can be a part of it. Sometimes, if you're the one that's doing it, make sure you pay attention to this class, yes.
Like taking someone's stuff.
Okay, so affecting other people's stuff, their belongings, taking it. Okay, so those are all good examples of bullying. The basic idea is that you're harming another person, and oftentimes it's being done repetitively, over and over and over again. I have a question for you boys. How many people here by a raise of hands have witnessed, have observed bullying? Pretty much every single person raising their hand. Now that doesn't mean that there's a lot of bullying going on around you. Could be one person bullying one other person who's the victim, but you all have observed it. The reason I ask that question is not to try to see how much bullying is going on, but actually because if you've all observed it, then you all potentially could be part of the solution. And that's the first point I want to make. What do you boys think is by far the most effective, successful anti-bullying tactic? The best strategy to stop bullying in its tracks, to eliminate bullying. What is the best way to make sure that bullying does not happen? Yeah. Everyone together. What were you going to say?
You ask him to stop, and if
So now you're talking about from the victim's perspective, what should you do? Like asking him to stop and stuff, and we're going to get into that.
you could say that you're going to the principal.
You could say you're gonna have to tell an adult. Absolutely, like the principal. Yes. We're going to get to all those ideas, but let's focus more on what he was saying, yeah?
Stand up to him.
Stand up to him, again, as the victim. We're going to focus on all of those. That's important. Yeah? Okay. Add the crowd. Or the word we want to focus on here is bystander. This is a word that we use when it comes to bullying that is absolutely critical. Yes, there will be sometimes, unfortunately, bullying in every single school. Baruch Hashem, I'm zocheh to work with schools across the country and even outside the country. Every school will have incidents. And in every incident, there's going to be the victim. That's the person who's being bullied. And there's going to be the bystander. That's the person who sees the bullying. He's not the bully. He's not the person being bullied, the victim, but he is observing it. He sees it. He hears it. And the bystander, especially if it's a group of people, have the greatest koach, the greatest strength to influence the environment of the class. What's another place maybe in Chumash, in Torah, that we find that people are influenced by their environment, by what people around them stand for or don't stand for? Can anyone think of an example in Chumash and Gemara? Yeah? Chet HaEgel. Okay. What do we find by Chet HaEgel? That the men maybe influenced each other and a large group started to get involved, thousands of people. But what group do we see didn't get involved by Chet HaEgel? Do you know? The Leviim. So they stuck together as a group. I'm sure some Leviim got chizik from others to not join. What's another group that didn't get involved in the Egel? Yeah. The women gave each other chizik to not get involved. An amazing idea. Once again, you see the positive influence, but also potentially the negative influence of those who were serving it. Any other ideas? Any other examples? Yeah? Dasan and Aviram. Okay, good example, yes. Influencing people, potentially by Korach and other places. Yeah. Korban Pesach, he said. It's just a very large gathering of people being mechazik each other to do the mitzvah, right? Taking. Okay, there's a lot of people who are bystanders, but we want to talk about how it could influence the group, yeah? By Shimshon, that what? And what? So that was a moment of influence. Shimshon knocking it down, killing all those enemies was a moment of influence for Klal Yisrael, of Hisoris maybe. Yes, but we want to talk about more in a group form. Yeah. Just receiving the Torah, Matan Torah, was a tremendous thing. All the people came together. They were matar themselves. They stood as a group. Ki'ish echad, b'leiv echad, ba'achtus. The group has tremendous koach to influence for the good, and chas v'shalom for the opposite too. And we have to be aware of that, which means the greatest single, most impactful, effective anti-bullying campaign strategy is that the class doesn't stand for bullying and makes it known. That the grade or the school doesn't stand for bullying and makes it known, meaning the boys, the students. Yeah, the principal could say things, it helps. The mashgiach, the counselor could say things, it helps. The rebbeim and teachers can say things, the parents can get involved, it all helps, it's all great. But the most powerful is if the students themselves say no. What does that mean? It means if you're a bystander and you hear or see one person bullying another person, calling him a really nasty name, or even getting physical with him, you walk up to that bully, even just by yourself if you're brave enough. If not, get a little group together. 2, 3 boys is enough to be powerful. If maybe there's a group that's doing the bullying, maybe get a little bit of a larger group together. Hopefully the vast majority of the class will be able to get together on this for the good and say, hey, stop, what you're doing is not cool. Stop. We don't like it as a class, stop. And you make the bully feel silly in what he's doing. It's highly intimidating to the bully and it helps him get stop the behavior, because he says, okay, this is certainly not making me more popular, and I'm not comfortable doing this now. It's an environment that doesn't tolerate bullying amongst the students themselves, the boys themselves. That has the greatest impact. So keep that in mind as we discuss bystander. I want to introduce an abbreviation as a way to think about 4 ideas. There's more, but 4 ideas that we can keep in mind as a bystander, again, by ourselves, or even especially as a group. What can we do to help stop bullying around us? Because again, that's our greatest koach as a class. The acronym is called STAC. S-T-A-C. Here's what it stands for. S stands for steal the show. That means you see someone starting to call some names against another person, starting to say some mean things to another person. Steal the show means you jump in and say, did you guys understand the Tosfos Rebbe was explaining just before? Or maybe if it's a different guy, it might make more sense to say, did you guys see the field goal last night? Whatever the content is, doesn't matter so much. It's that you're stealing the show. You're changing the topic. By doing that, you interrupt the bullying, which is a great service to the person being bullied. That's one idea. Steal the show. T, turn it over. That means give it over to an adult. Now this is important. Do you think every single time somebody annoys or bothers another person, no matter how light or heavy it is, you should always make sure to tell an adult every single time? What do you say? Yeah. Yes, you should always tell an adult. No. Why not? All right, so let's give an example to make it more clear. Somebody comes over to you, you go to someone and say, can I borrow your pen? And he says, no, I'm not in the mood of lending it. It's very not nice. Do you tell an adult? Yeah. No. What do you say? Why? So we all agree. Right. And sometimes it could be a little wrong, but the point is we all agree there's a certain lightness of just an annoyance that we don't need to tell. Now, can you always tell your parents about anything that happens in your day? Not only can you, you should. In fact, let me just digress for a second. When you go home today and your mother or father, hopefully they haven't given up yet by the time that you're now in middle school, and they ask you, how was your day in school? Try really hard, practice this in the carpool on the way home in your head, not to say, fine. And then the next question is, what did you do today? What did you learn? I don't know. Nothing. I don't remember. Try instead to think of 1 or 2 things. You could remember this Darcheinu class. This is one thing you could remember for the conversation today. And if your parents did give up and they're not asking you, what did you do today? Great. Go over to them and say, Mom, I'd like to tell you what I did in school today. We had a Darcheinu class, it was about this. We learned this in Shir. We had an interesting thing in math class. Prepare 2 or 3 things. Here's what we did at recess. Your mom might say, wait, do you have a fever? What's going on over here? All of a sudden you're telling me about your day. And you'll say, no, I want to try to communicate, right? We're in communication right now. Communicate a little bit more. So as a side point, it's good to always try to make sure to communicate with your parents when they want to hear about how was your day. You can always tell your parents anything you want, and you should. No restrictions on that. Anything that bothered you, of course you should tell your parents. But the point is, do you need to run to a principal? Do you need to run to a Rebbe if someone annoyed you a little bit? So the answer to that is not exactly black and white. Here's what I mean. There are 2 categories where turn it over must apply. Okay, you can apply it in other cases, but it must apply. 1, it's something significant and physical. So there's something, you're being hurt physically. Pinned down, pushed, punched, kicked, all these things. You got to tell someone. That is not okay. That is a major boundary crossing. You got to tell someone right away. That's one case. Another case would be an extremely nasty comment, really making fun of you, calling you a terrible name, saying inappropriate stuff, all that stuff. You got to give it over to someone. You got to tell an adult, Rebbe, principal, mashgiach, counselor, parents. But if it's something very light, maybe the boy walks by your knapsack that's on the floor and he just kind of brushes it with his foot, clearly purposely. Maybe he calls you like a little play on your last name a little bit, and it doesn't really bother you so much, but it's a little annoying, and you ask him to stop. So maybe wait to see if he stops. You don't necessarily have to tell an adult, but there's another category where you do have to turn it over. Even if it's light, if it happens again and again and again, and you try to ask him to stop, and again, and it's relentless, then even light things can start to hurt a lot. It's actually true. If you punch someone in their arm lightly, but you keep doing it a long time, it starts to actually potentially make a black and blue mark even, because it's relentless. Same thing with words. Even if the words are relatively light, if it's consistent and repetitive and it's for a long time, a number of days in a row, and it's not stopping, you got to tell someone, because that could really hurt a person. Just like one time if it's something strong and physical or particularly nasty verbally. Okay? So that's turn it over. You have a question?
But also if you say, go to Rabbi Schwartz or the principal every single time there's a little thing, then they're not going to let you come back every single time.
Okay, sometimes if you overload the principal and you're coming to them every day, they feel like, okay, one second, we need to create some amount of resilience, some amount of separation in time. How often? Again, if it's big things and it's happening every day for some reason, you got to go. But hopefully those things are going to be taken care of right away with the parents involved and everyone involved. Yeah, good point. Okay, yeah, last question for now.
Sometimes the bully doesn't stop even when the parents and the principal does.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Excellent question. Sometimes these things are not enough. We're going to get there. But to finish off what a bystander can do, what's S? Steal the show. What's T? Turn it over. A is accompany others. Accompany others is A. Accompany others means that you want to make sure to provide company to the victim. What's the feeling that a victim of bullying generally feels right when he's being bullied and right after he gets being bullied? What feeling is the victim usually feeling? Yeah? No one cares about me. I'm all... You might feel some rage and anger, but also I'm what? Awkward and like a nobody. Alone. I'm all alone. No one's there for me. So what could you do as a bystander? You can go up to that victim and say, after it's let's say it just finished and now you noticed it. You go up to him and you say, hey, don't listen to him. He's being silly, don't listen to him. What he's saying does not make sense at all. And by the way, at recess today, we're putting a game together. Come join us. I'm having some guys over to study and come over. Invite, including him. That is directly helping the feeling that he's feeling of alone, of loneliness. Accompany others. Be there for the victim. And lastly, so what's S? Steal the show. Turn it over. Accompany others. And lastly, coaching compassion. That means we want to be able to tell the bully, hey, stop. That's what we really began with. Especially if you could do it in group form. Bring a whole group together. Approach the bully. Tell the bully in group form, hey, what you're doing is not cool. It's not okay. We don't like it. It's destroying our class. Stop. And you walk away. You're coaching compassion. Bully, you got to have some compassion. You got to stop with this mean behavior. Coaching compassion. One last time.
Steal the show. Turn it over. Accompany others. Coaching compassion.
Coaching compassion, that's right. So we want to remember these 4 tactics as a bystander. There are more things that you can do as well. And now we're going to also talk about what to do if you're the victim of bullying. Before we get there, you had a question? Yeah?
But also the person could like say something, but you might not want to say anything because like he could be going through something.
Like, let's say you know the fact is that the bully's going through something. That would be an excellent thing to say. You have to be careful with Lashon Hara. You don't want to start revealing secrets that you might know. But to say in general, I think he's just dealing with difficult stuff right now. Don't pay attention to what he's saying. He's just having a hard time right now, I think. He's like, well, what exactly? Like, I don't know. I think he's just having a hard time. Absolutely, that's a great piece of information to share, if it's true, right? In that case, that would be great, absolutely. When you coach compassion and you go to the bully as a group or even as an individual to say, stop, it's not cool, it doesn't have to be with a meanness, just a firmness and a confidence. You gotta stop it could be very nice. Hey, you gotta stop what you're saying. It's so not nice to him. I'm not sure you realize, but you're being really mean to him. It's hurting him. You got to stop. And if his response is, oh, okay, thank you, beautiful. But if his response is, I know, oh yeah, it's hurting him, oh great, here I go. Well, then you got to get a little bit more firm. Maybe bring in a few more people to the group. Make sense? Yeah.
I think maybe we should also add a K, so we spelled correctly and K instead of karate.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because we're going to talk about this in the victim. We'll talk about it now as far as the victim and the bystander. Should you use K? He's saying let's add a K. Now it's spelled correctly as stack, and it stands for karate. Now, first of all, if you know anything about karate, karate is all about defensive posturing and not offensive, which means you're not doing any attacking unless you're attacked. So I'm not sure karate, maybe there's a different letter for a different form of fighting or whatever, but not karate. But let's just address the idea, so let's get rid of that. Let's just address the idea of should you get physical with him? The answer is no. We'll elaborate on that a little bit when we get to the victim. Should the victim get physical or not? But the answer is generally no, but we'll get to that soon. Yeah.
But if you're coaching compassion, sometimes you might get bullied back.
Yes, there is a risk. That's excellent that you brought that up. As a bystander, why would a bystander not want to get involved? Because, one second, Baruch Hashem, I'm not getting bullied. I feel bad for him that he is, but I'm not. I don't want to get involved. If I get involved, he'd start bullying me. So first of all, if you're in a group, that should be less of a concern. Because if 12 people out of 20 in the class go up to this person and say, stop, much less of a concern. Second of all, even if you're by yourself, you're right, there's a risk, and we wouldn't blame someone for not getting involved. But if you have the courage to say something, you'll have, hopefully, the environment, others who will be the bystander for you if necessary. Right? That's why we're talking about creating this environment in the classroom and in the grade of not tolerating bullying. Does that make sense? That's a great point, yeah. Sometimes it happens in private and there are no bystanders and this wouldn't apply. The victim can potentially tell other people, hey, could you look out for this? Could you help me out? But yeah, we have to deal with each situation in and of itself. In many, many cases, there's going to be some bystanders. Not every case, it's true. We're going to talk in a minute about what should the victim of bullying do to help himself. That's going to be the next part of the class. Yeah.
If someone's like bullying you and you're right at home from school and no one sees and he's doing it physically, shouldn't you like defend yourself?
Yes, we're going to get to that. That's all within the victim side of things, okay? So this, we just wanted to talk about if you're the bystander. Now let's transition over a lot of your questions on what if you're the victim? Maybe there are no bystanders, maybe there are bystanders, but they're not coming to help. So the bullying has happened and you're the victim of it. What can you do to help yourself? So, 2 options that I want to share with you today. Number 1, think to yourself, does this person who's bullying me seem like a person I may be able to talk to ask him to stop? If the answer is definitely not, which sometimes happens, then we'll have to move on to option 2 that I'm going to give you in a minute. But if the answer is yes, I think I might be able to tell him to stop, I think it might work, then here's what you want to do. You want to tell him to stop, but we want to start with a concept called an I statement. An I statement means that you focus on your feelings, not his actions. Let me give you an example. I walk up to the bully and I say, "You are being so mean by calling me that name. You've now invited a fight." "No, I'm not. You deserve it. It's not so mean." As opposed to, "It's hurting my feelings deeply when you call me that name. Stop." Or if you don't want to make yourself so vulnerable and so emotional, you could just simply say, "I really don't like it when you call me that name. Please stop now." Firm, short, focusing on "I don't like it. I don't like it." What's he gonna say? "That's not true, you do like it." There's nothing to argue about. If you focus on his actions, what you're doing, you're a Russia, you're not supposed to do, don't you realize? He could just start arguing. "No, it's because of this, you're wrong, I am allowed." But if you just say, "I don't like what you're doing," you want to add in, "It's really bothering me," or not, "I don't like what you're doing. I need you to stop now, please." That's, one second, I'll take questions in a minute. That's the statement, the I statement. And then there are two conditions to make this work. One, you want to be in private. I'll explain what that means in a minute. And there's a second condition of walk away. Okay? So those are the two things. Let's talk about that. In private doesn't mean you have to be in a private room when you say this to the bully. It means you want to be out of earshot. You don't want the bully to have an audience. Because if you walk up to that bully and he has 2 or 3 of his close friends around him, and you say, "Hey, bully, I don't like what you're doing, please stop now. When you call me that name, I don't like it, stop. When you kick my knapsack, I don't like it, stop, please now." Clear, short, to the point. If he has 2 or 3 friends around him, he's gonna feel like, "I gotta put on a show. I gotta save face," we call it. "I gotta save my reputation." So he's gonna wanna say to the victim, "Oh yeah?" And then like call you the name right there. And then the 2 friends laugh. You know, sometimes when somebody makes a joke in a class, the whole class laughs and like the kid feels really good. But sometimes imagine if I was the kid. And imagine in the middle of class, I like raise my hand and I say something funny, right? Like, "Oh yeah, well that's not true because of this and this." And instead of everyone laughing, which makes me feel good, the whole class is just like, totally awkward silence. The person feels really silly with what he did. He probably won't do it again. So the point is, if the bully feels like he's gonna get a laugh from an audience, a reaction, you're probably gonna lose in trying to get him to stop by telling him to stop. What you wanna do is when you're 10 feet away from other people, on one side of the room from the other side of the room, that's when you quietly walk up to him. "I really don't like it when you call me that name, when you do that thing. Please stop now. I don't like it." And then the second condition, so there's no audience. Second condition, walk away. Don't do this. "Hey, bully, I really don't like when you call me that name. Please stop now." What's your response? How would you like to reply? No. This is not a discussion. This is not a debate. "I don't like it. I need you to stop. I really don't like what you're doing when you call me that name. Please stop now." Walk away. Walk away. He might scream after you, "Yeah, but..." You just shrug your shoulders and walk away. Okay? So that's the first technique. If you think you can speak to him, go ahead and try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we'll move on to option 2, which is going to be a whole different approach than speaking to him. It's going to be, how do you react when you are being bullied? What's your reaction going to be? And that's going to have a specific idea to it. But before we move on to that, yeah?
And also like have confidence and like go in and like be nice to him, because when you're nice sometimes they end up like they go stop.
Interesting. Sometimes just being a little extra nice to the bully makes him feel like a little more silly that he's being so mean to you.
Like say to him, "Okay, I don't like when you call me those stuff, but if it makes you feel better, then go ahead and do it."
Okay, that's going to get into the reaction. What kind of reaction should you have? And it's very much along the lines of what you're saying. That's excellent. Yeah. So then speaking didn't work. And we have to move on to the next idea, right? This is option number 1. This is option number 2. If you think option number 1's not going to work, move straight on to option number 2. If you think it might work, try it. If it works, great. If not, move on to option 2. Let's talk about option 2 for a second. Quick question, yeah? Yeah, he could bully you more with the speaking. You're absolutely right. He could say, guys, come over here. You know what he just said? He said I should stop. Ha ha ha. Yep. And in those cases, we're going to explore option 2. But of course, if nothing's working, at some point, no matter what level of severity it is, like we said before, especially if it's repeating, and if it's severe right away, you got to do turn it over. Give it to the adult, right? One more review. Steal the show. Steal the spotlight, yeah. Turn it over. Accompany others. Compassion coaching, coaching compassion. Good. Okay, so 1 second. Let's just get through this and then I'll take your question. Now we're up to the point of we tried all that, it's not working. What should your reaction be when the bully bullies you? This is really important. The way to answer that question is, what is the reason many bullies bully? Why are they bullying? We kind of touched on this at the very beginning of the class. In the back, yeah? To get attention.
Like he's facing something like...
Something difficult?
Yeah, and he's like...
Yeah. He just doesn't like the person, sure. Because what? To get more popular, to get attention, yeah. He feels that thing about himself, all the way in the back, yeah. Maybe something's happening at home that's making him feel bad. A good visual for that is, he's feeling down and out about himself for some reason. So in order to shove you down and step on top of you, he raises himself up. But what a cruel, vicious, terrible way to make himself feel better about himself. But we have to understand that's where it's coming from. It's coming from him wanting to make himself feel better about himself because there's something that he doesn't feel so good about inside of himself. Which ultimately means he's trying to grab power for himself. He wants to feel more powerful and get a reaction out of you. This is something that has been written about. This is an incredible idea to think about when you're dealing with a bully. If he's trying to get power, it means he can cause you to react. That means he says something to you, a mean comment, and you crumble on the floor and cry. Haha, look how powerful I am. Or you run away, tell on him, and he gets in trouble. Look how powerful I am. I was able to cause you to get so upset you went and told on me, even though it's a negative consequence to him. Even that makes him feel power. So we have to think to ourselves, how do we deflate that power? How do we make it that that power just doesn't feel like he's getting that power anymore? What tactic can we take? Ignoring is a good idea, but let's define two different types of ignoring. One type of ignoring is, he calls me a name and I go like this. Do you guys hear anyone talking to me right now? I don't hear anyone. Is there someone even over there? Like silent treatment. That is a reaction. Even though you're not saying anything to him. But that's a clear reaction of, I'm very bothered by what you're doing. Look at what you're, right? The right type of ignoring, the word I like to use is more called indifference. I'm indifferent. I don't care. I don't care what you say. It makes no difference to me. Indifference. Then he feels like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting a reaction from the victim. That is something that's powerful in terms of taking away his feeling of power. So what would that look like? He calls me a name and I just kind of shrug my shoulders. Okay, whatever you say, and walk away. Like, who cares? Let me give you a mushal. Just put your hands down, we'll get to questions in a minute. Let me give you a mushal, a visual to help you with this. Because sometimes it's really gonna hurt. How do you pretend like it's not bothering you? So sometimes, I want you all to close your eyes for a second and imagine the face of a baby. Close your eyes. It could be a younger brother or sister. It could be a niece or nephew. It can be a baby that you saw on the outside of a diaper box. It doesn't matter. You can make up the baby face, but like a little 6-month-old baby's head. Okay? Picture that head in your mind. Okay, open your eyes. Now, imagine there's a person bullying, I'm not going to say you, because chas v'shalom, but there's a person bullying someone. What I would tell that person is, oh, he's bullying you? Say it's a middle schooler bullying another middle schooler. Imagine that baby head being swapped out on top of the shoulders of the middle school boy's body. And now it's a middle school boy's body with a baby's head on top. Pretty weird visual. Why would I tell you to imagine that? Because think about the following case. I go to my friend's house and he's like, you gotta see my baby. You gotta come see the baby. It's so cute, come see the baby. I say, fine, I come. And I take a look at the baby and it's a very cute baby. So I look at the baby and the baby looks up at me. It's like 1 year old, not talking any English yet. And looks up at me and says, you're ugly. And I'm like, what? What is it? And the father's like, his first words! He's talking so early, he's a genius! What would my feelings be? Would I be like, oh, called me ugly? Or would I be like, wait, let me take out my camera and video this. Maybe we can get him to say it again because it's just a baby. The words mean nothing. That's the visual. Somebody's calling you names. You imagine a baby's head on his body and that's doing the talking. It means nothing to me. It doesn't bother me. It gives me a little chuckle even. It doesn't bother me. Now again, it's not really that case. It really is someone your age, so it does hurt. I get it. But if you can even act indifferent, like it doesn't bother you, you know what starts to happen? The bully starts to get more intense and more extreme with the bullying. Because he's losing grip with his power. You're not reacting, you're not caring. Every time he says it, you're just like, okay. Sometimes people like to say, okay, thank you, I guess, and you walk away. And it's all about how you say it, right? It's not, thank you, I guess, because that's like, I'm bothered. It's more, you have to do a little bit of an acting job, or maybe you could really come to the point that it doesn't bother you and you simply say, okay, thanks. And you move on and you get busy with other things. You go back to a book you're reading, you go out to play. And he's like, wow, it's not affecting. But he might increase the intensity at first because he's losing his grip and power. And then eventually it stops because he's not gaining what he's setting out to gain, some sort of power over you through your reaction. So indifference, your reaction, not caring at all about what he's doing. Remember the mushal with the baby, that is what we want to focus on. It doesn't bother me, even if it does. Now again, if it's particularly nasty or intense, or it's not, but it's going on for a long time despite you doing this, or it's getting physical and pretty serious, it's hurting you, all those, what's that? Turn it over, give it to an adult, 100%. Even if it's just slightly bothering you, always talk to your parents about what's going on in school, 100%. So keep all that in mind. But these are the tactics we can use to try to help ourselves if chas v'shalom we're the victim. Those are the things that we want to try to keep in mind, both as bystander, which is the most effective way to get rid of bullying in a school, in a classroom, in a grade, and as victim. The different ways to speak it out with I statements, to make sure that we talk about it's bothering me, I don't like it, not what you're doing is bad, because then he can argue. And private just means no audience, no crowd around, nobody around, right? That's all private means, so that there's no audience for him to get laughter from. And you walk away when you say that quick I statement. Doesn't matter if he's screaming after you, just drop the seed, plant the seed, and then move on. And finally, if the speaking doesn't work, the indifference, whatever, doesn't bother me. And you walk away and keep that up for a few days, hopefully it ends. If it doesn't, You always got to bring adults into it. Hopefully your friends will come and help you. One last time. I will now take questions. Great question. So now the question becomes, is there ever room to get physical with the bully? What if the bully is saying really nasty things? Should you get physical with him? The answer is no. Never if it's just verbal. However, there's one exception. Let me tell you before I get to the exception. You know what often happens when somebody pushes another person? He's like, what, how dare you? You can't push me. And he goes to push him back. Let's just picture it in slow motion right now. So Reuven, the bully, pushes Shimon. Shimon's the victim. And Shimon's like, what, how dare you? And he decides not to tell him you shouldn't do that, and then to tell an adult, because that's a pretty serious physical thing. You got to tell an adult. Instead of that, Shimon decides, I'm going to take justice in my own hands and push Reuven back. Okay? Here's what usually happens. I don't know why, but this is what I see usually happens. Shimon, slow motion, gets ready to come push Reuven back because he deserves it. And as his hands make contact with his chest and he's about to shove him to the ground, the door opens. In comes the Menahel's head to check on how the class is going. And at that moment he sees Shimon push Reuven onto the ground. Excuse me? Shimon, come with me right now. Now, even if Shimon can figure out a way to explain and prove in cameras and other things that I was only reacting, still he can get in trouble for it. And also, the Menahel's going to react more to the thing he saw with his own eyes than the thing he didn't see, depending on what the circumstances are. Which means potentially Shimon's not only the one who got pushed first, but now Shimon's getting in trouble. Very often that happens. It's always a good idea to avoid getting physical at all costs, but there's an exception where you have no choice. For example, chas v'shalom, the bully is pinning the victim down on the ground and the victim can't escape. He shouldn't just lie there and be like, are there any adults around who can help me? He should do everything he needs to do to get out from that pin. He might need to push, punch a little bit. I'm not advocating for any of that, but he can't let himself just continue to be pinned down on the ground. Similarly, if he's being grabbed, right, he might need to kind of push his arms away. So you're getting physical to release yourself, not so that you could turn around and get him back physically, so you can run away. And in fact, that's always the advice, by the way, even for stronger people in your adult lives, that's always the advice. Don't engage in physical force with another person. It only adds to the risk and makes it potentially more dangerous. So we have to keep that in mind and think about that. It's the same thing here in school. Obviously, Baruch Hashem, we're not dealing with those types of scenarios. But when it comes to bullying, unless you're stuck and you need to release yourself, free yourself from the bully, nothing physical. Yeah.
Say you're a bystander and someone's being kidnapped and you.
As a bystander, what I would say is scream out to get an adult to help, because it's always better if the adult does it. But yes, if you see that a person is being pained and hurt in a stuck position, you do what you need to do to pull the person off of him, right? So we're not saying, oh great, I have an excuse now to punch him in the face. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying have 3 guys come and pull him off. And that should be sufficient in the vast majority of cases. But yes, as a bystander, again, if someone's stuck, pinned, they can't run away. If they can run away and there's a fight going on and they're both actively participating in it, run and go get someone. You can, from behind, kind of each guy can be held back. You sometimes see that at sporting events, sometimes where they seemingly, like in baseball, aren't really going to fight, but they're making a point, like hold me back type of thing. It's funny sometimes, it looks to me like that a little bit sometimes. But either way, yes, trying to stop people from engaging in physical fights can be a case where you can get a slightly physical. We're talking about just holding someone back, but we're not talking about really trying to fight physically with another person. Great question. That's how I would deal with, generally speaking, nothing physical, and the rare exception where it could be a little bit physical. Excellent. Okay, so these are the ideas that I wanted to share with you in regards to bullying. It's a really important topic. This is just the beginning of the conversation. We're just opening up the discussion right now. We touched on this a little bit back in 6th grade, if you remember. We're really getting more heavily into it here in 7th grade. This is all about what we want to try to learn about in these Darcheinu classes. Obviously, if any of you have questions about specific circumstances relating to bullying or anything, you know you can find me in my office, you can make an appointment with me, we can talk, you can catch me in the hallway, we can talk. You have your wonderful Rebbe here as well, who heard the whole class together with us, and he can be involved and help you. You have the Menahel, and of course you have your parents. And Mirz Hashem, we won't even have to use these tactics because we won't have the bullying altogether, but just in case we do, we have these ideas. And Mirz Hashem, we should only have Menuchas HaNefesh and Siyata Dishmaya. Thank you boys so much. Enjoy your recess.